Did you know that battleship gun turrets, those armored giants weighing over 2,000 tons each, were designed to withstand enemy shells, but could turn into instant crematoriums from a single spark inside? It was a crisp morning on April 19th, 1989, aboard the USS Iowa, a behemoth from World War II, reborn in the Reagan era to flex American muscle against Soviet threats. I remember it like yesterday. I'm retired now, but back then I was a naval investigator, piecing together the shards of that day. The Iowa, over 800 feet long, cut through the Caribbean waters off Puerto Rico during a routine fleet exercise. Her crew of nearly 1,500 men buzzed with the rhythm of ship life, mess halls serving eggs and coffee at dawn, decks scrubbed spotless, and the hum of engines propelling her at 20 knots. In Turret 2, the heart of her firepower, 47 gunners, mostly young lads in their 20s, prepared for a firing drill. These were 16-inch guns, capable of hurling shells 20 miles, each projectile weighing as much as a small car. The turret was a cramped steel womb, 3 massive barrels side by side, hoists lifting powder bags from magazines below. Sailors like Dunner's mate Clayton Hartwig, a skilled but brooding 24-year-old from Ohio, handled the silk-wrapped propellant, 6 bags for shot, each filled with volatile D846 powder. Camaraderie ran deep. They joked about shore leave in San Juan, shared smokes during breaks, and swapped stories of sweethearts back home. The ship smelled of salt, oil, and anticipation. Captain Fred Musali paced the bridge, monoculars scanning the horizon, while below the gunners donned flash gear, thick hoods and gloves against the heat. No one sensed the betrayal brewing in the machinery, or perhaps in a human heart. As the sun climbed, orders crackled over intercoms, load and prepare to fire. The exercise was meant to showcase the Iowa's might, a deterrent in Cold War games. But in that turret, routine masked fragility. One wrong move and hell would unleash. Little did they know this drill would etch their names in tragedy, leaving families shattered and a nation questioning if vengeance from fate or foe had struck.
What if a sailor's casual joke about explosive powder being as touchy as a jilted lover was the eerie foreshadowing of doom? That morning, aboard the USS Iowa, the air in Turret 2 thickened with focus as the crew geared up for the drill. Breakfast had been hasty, biscuits and gravy in the galley, where talk turned to the experimental powder they were testing. Older stock, silk-bagged for faster loading, but rumored finicky in humid seas. I pored over logs later. The gunners, led by Chief Reginald Ziegler, a grizzled veteran of 30 years, double-checked rams and breech blocks. Young seaman Kendall Truitt, Hartwig's close friend, ribbed him. "Clay, if this stuff goes boom early, tell my girl I loved her cooking more than yours." Laughter echoed in the confined space, masking underlying tensions. Hartwig, known for his precision but haunted by a recent breakup, loaded the center gun meticulously. The powder hoist creaked upward, delivering bags marked with batch numbers from the Yorktown depot. Outside, the sea rolled gently, the ship steady at 15 knots, other vessels like the USS Normandy dotting the exercise zone. Captain Musali's voice boomed, "Commence firing sequence." In the turret, sweat beaded under helmets as they rammed projectiles, armor-piercing rounds, inert for practice. Minor gripes surfaced, a sticky rammer from yesterday's maintenance, humidity warping labels. But protocol was ironclad, safety interlocks prevented mishaps, or so they thought. Cold War pressures loomed. The Iowa class was a symbol, recommissioned at great cost to counter Soviet Kurovs. Crew felt the weight, perform or face scrutiny from the Pentagon. As the first gun elevated, hydraulics whining, no one imagined betrayal in the chain, faulty training, overlooked flaws, or deliberate act. The clock ticked to 10:17 a.m. Hartwig positioned the ram, Truitt monitored gauges. "One more check," Ziegler ordered. The stage was set, innocence about to shatter in flames.
Chapter 3. Why did the blast erupt from the center gun, defying every safety measure built into a system tested through 2 world wars? At precisely 10:51 a.m., the USS Iowa shuddered like a wounded beast as Turret 2 vanished in a colossal fireball. Orange flames shooting 200 feet skyward, black smoke billowing like a funeral pyre over the azure sea. I arrived on scene days later, but survivors' accounts chilled me. A deafening roar, then hell's maw opening. The explosion vaporized the turret's interior. 47 men incinerated instantly, their bodies fused to melting steel, screams cut short by superheated gases reaching 4,000 degrees. Debris, twisted metal, burning silk fragments rained into the ocean, hissing on contact. On deck, sailors froze in horror, then chaos erupted. Fire teams in asbestos suits charged forward, hoses blasting seawater against the inferno threatening the magazines below, which held enough explosives to sink the ship. Captain Mussoli barked orders from the bridge, "All hands damage control." The Iowa listed slightly, alarms wailing, as medics dragged out the few survivors, burned, shrapnel-riddled, gasping in agony. Inside what remained of the turret, a nightmare. Charred remains slumped at stations, the center gun's breech blown open, powder bags ignited in a chain reaction. The blast wave rattled portholes miles away, other ships veering to assist. Radio crackled. "Mayday! Explosion on Iowa! Casualties heavy!" Back home, families waited obliviously, wives in Norfolk, parents in Midwest towns, until grim calls came. The sea claimed scattered ashes, waves lapping indifferently. What triggered it? A rammed powder bag catching spark? Or sabotage, a quiet vengeance against the machine or man? The ship limped on, scarred, her crew forever haunted by the ghosts of Turret 2.
In naval history, few know that while 47 souls perished in the Iowa blast, the ship's robust design contained the damage, preventing a chain reaction that could have claimed hundreds more, a miracle amid tragedy. In the explosion's wake, heroism surged aboard the Iowa. Sailors like Petty Officer Stephen Skelly, singed but steadfast, led fire squads into the smoldering turret, pulling out blackened forms amid acrid smoke that burned lungs. Medical bays overflowed, corpsemen triaged horrors, third-degree burns peeling skin like paper, shrapnel embedding in flesh. 11 survivors emerged, dazed and deafened, recounting flashes of light before oblivion.
Captain Mussoli coordinated evacuations, helicopters from nearby carriers airlifting the wounded to Puerto Rico hospitals, rotors thumping like urgent heartbeats. Radios buzzed with updates, fire contained, no further explosions. Yet the emotional wreckage deepened. Crewmates wept on deck, hugging comrades, whispering of lost friends. Hartwig's technical manual scattered. Truett's lucky charm melted. Families stateside faced the unimaginable. Telegrams arriving at doors in Cleveland, San Diego, small towns where flags flew half-mast. I interviewed widows later. One said, "He called last night, excited for the drill, now gone." The Navy sealed the site, divers recovering fragments from the depths. Press swarmed Norfolk as the Iowa docked days later, her turret a gaping wound. Initial briefings cited accident, but doubts whispered, why no similar incidents in decades? The loss echoed through barracks, morale plummeting as vengeance theories, perhaps from overworked crews or hidden foes, began to simmer. How could a crew drilled relentlessly in gun safety commit a ramming error that ignited doom, or was the error a veil for darker deeds? The Navy's probe launched swiftly, Admiral Richard Milligan heading a board of experts in Norfolk. I joined as an analyst, sifting debris airlifted from the Iowa, warped rammers, powder residue scraped from walls. Early theories pointed to friction, a powder bag rammed too hard into the breach, static sparking ignition. Survivors testified under oath. We followed procedure, one insisted, but logs showed experimental powder, silk bags prone to tears. Interviews revealed strains, Hartwig's depression noted in psyche vals, his expertise with explosives raising brows. Polygraphs flickered with nerves. Truett defended. Clay was meticulous, no way intentional. Media frenzy exploded, headlines screaming Navy cover-up as Congress demanded hearings. Families gathered in hotel lobbies, sharing photos of sons in uniforms, tears fueling calls for truth. We reconstructed the sequence. At 10:47, the rammer extended. 4 minutes later, blast. But inconsistencies nagged, no alarm triggered, witnesses hearing unusual thumps. Cold War shadows loomed, Soviet spies or internal sabotage against the aging fleet. Costs mounted, millions spent on forensics, while the Iowa sat in dry dock, her guns silenced. The riddle deepened, accident from haste or calculated betrayal seeking to expose vulnerabilities. Justice hung elusive, the sea guarding its secrets.
Imagine uncovering a sailor's personal letters, revealing a web of jealousy and threats, only for forensic tests to suggest they were forged, twisting suspicion into a labyrinth of doubt. As the investigation deepened in Norfolk's hushed conference rooms, suspicions shifted from mere accident to potential sabotage, injecting uncertainty like poison into every lead. I sifted through Hartwig's belongings, notebooks filled with explosive diagrams, not unusual for a gunner's mate, but paired with letters to Truett, hinting at unrequited affection and despair. The Navy's psychologists profiled him as unstable, suggesting he might have deliberately sparked the blast in a suicide pact gone wrong. But here's the unexpected pivot. Polygraphs on Truett flickered inconsistently, and an anonymous tip arrived via mail, an envelope postmarked from San Diego, claiming Hartwig was framed by a rival crewman over a gambling debt. We chased it, interviewing mess hall witnesses who recalled heated arguments in the weeks prior. One sailor admitted, "I saw Hartwig slip something into the powder hoist days before, but it could have been routine." Unknowns piled up,
Residue tests showed unusual chemicals, perhaps from cleaning agents or intentional contaminants. Cold War paranoia fueled theories, Soviet agents infiltrating the fleet, or internal vengeance from overworked enlisted men resenting officers. Hartwig's family protested his innocence, reducing alibis for alleged motives, while Truett's testimony wavered under pressure. A shocking turn. A recovered turret fragment bore tool marks, suggesting tampering, but experts debated if waves or the blast caused them. The board meetings grew tense, admirals demanding closure amid media leaks. What if the sabotage was aimed not at the ship, but at discrediting the battleship program itself? These unknowns haunted us, turning comrades into suspects, the sea's silence mocking our quest for truth.
Did you know the Iowa investigation ballooned to cost over $20 million only for leaked classified memos to reveal Pentagon officials suppressing evidence to protect the fleet's budget? A betrayal from within. Political pressures mounted like storm clouds over Washington, with Congress summoning admirals to Capitol Hill hearings broadcast nationwide. I testified under oath, outlining timelines, but whispers circulated of edited reports. One draft mentioning powder instability vanished overnight, replaced by versions emphasizing human error. Senator Sam Nunn grilled us. Why ignore the overram theory when Sandia Labs hinted at it early? The Navy defended vigorously, citing national security. Battleships like Iowa were vital against Soviet threats. Any admission of design flaws could invite budget cuts. An unexpected twist emerged. A whistleblower, a retired ordnance expert, contacted the press anonymously, claiming experimental powder from Yorktown was unstable due to age, but approved hastily for the drill. His documents, smuggled out, showed altered test results. Forgery or cover-up? Unknowns deepened. Who authorized the powder's use, despite warnings in internal memos? Families lobbied lawmakers, one widow stating, "They blame my son to hide their negligence." Tensions escalated when the Government Accountability Office intervened, demanding raw data, only to find key logs missing from the Iowa's records, lost at sea or deliberately purged. Cold War intrigue added layers. Intelligence briefs suggested foreign surveillance of the exercise, but no concrete links. The probe shifted thrice. Accident, then sabotage, back to undetermined, leaving us chasing shadows. Vengeance seemed institutional, admirals protecting careers over justice. The explosions echo a reminder of buried truths. What if expert analyses clashed so violently that one team's recreated explosion matched sabotage, while another's pointed to a freak chemical reaction, leaving the cause dangling in perpetual ambiguity? Forensic battles raged in labs from Los Alamos to naval yards, where we rebuilt scale models of Turret 2, igniting mock powder under controlled fury. Sandia National Laboratory's report stunned us. High-speed cameras captured overram scenarios where bags compressed, friction igniting spontaneously, no intent needed. But Navy metallurgists countered with residue patterns, suggesting an external igniter, perhaps a hidden device. The pivot came unexpectedly. An overlooked swab from the breach revealed traces of calcium hypophosphite, a stabilizer, but in quantities hinting at adulteration. Accidental contamination from storage or deliberate addition? Experts debated fiercely at symposiums, one declaring, "This screams sabotage," while another retorted, "It's environmental degradation, nothing more." Unknowns multiplied.
Why did batch tests from the same powder lot fire safely on other ships? A leaked audio from a closed session captured an admiral admitting, "We can't rule out a disgruntled insider, but proving it risks morale." Independent reviews by the FBI added fog, polygraphs inconclusive, handwriting analysis on Hartwig's notes suggesting possible forgery. The chemical enigma deepened. Was the powder's silk frayed by humidity or cut subtly beforehand? These contradictions left reports hedging, justice elusive, as families received conflicting briefings. The explosion's riddle persisted, a testament to how science and suspicion entwine in uncertainty.
"We know the truth, and it's not what they say," whispered a grieving father in a late-night call, unveiling a cache of smuggled ship logs that upended the official narrative years later. In the aftermath, as the 1990s dawned, the Navy's final report deemed it an accident, probable overram, but families rebelled, forming advocacy groups that petitioned for reopenings. Memorials rose in Norfolk, bronze plaques listing the 47, yet doubts festered like open wounds. An unexpected turn. In 1991, the GAO's audit exposed investigative biases, leading the Navy to apologize to Hartwig's family for the suicide smear. But unknowns lingered. Anonymous letters surfaced, postmarked from fleet ports, claiming a cover-up involving faulty rammer hydraulics ignored in training manuals. Survivors testified anew. "I felt a strange vibration before the blast," one said, hinting at mechanical sabotage. Congressional probes revealed destroyed evidence tapes, fueling theories of vengeance from within ranks, perhaps a senior officer silencing safety complaints. Families like Truitt's pursued lawsuits, unearthing declassified docs showing powder volatility tests fudged. The enigma grew. Why no prosecutions if negligence was evident? Media documentaries in the 2000s revived debates, with new experts positing electromagnetic interference from radar, accident or untested tech flaw. Justice remained a ghost, the fallen sailor's legacy, one of unresolved betrayal by the system sworn to protect them. In naval annals, few realize that even today, declassified files hint at unexplored leads, like a mysterious pre-explosion signal intercept, keeping the Iowa's tragedy an open wound of what-ifs and whodunits. Reflecting now, decades later, I ponder the explosion's true genesis, accident born of haste or veiled sabotage echoing Cold War vendettas. The 47 lost souls, from eager recruits to seasoned chiefs, deserved clarity, yet unknowns prevail. Was Hartwig's profile manipulated to deflect from systemic failures? Recent theories, whispered in veteran forums, suggest industrial espionage, powder suppliers cutting corners for contracts, vengeance in corporate greed, or perhaps a lone actor, driven by personal grudge, slipping away undetected. Lessons endure. Enhanced safety protocols birthed from the ashes, like automated rammers and stricter psych evals. But justice, it eludes, a patient whisper in the wind over Puerto Rican waves. Remember them, not as victims of fate, but as harbingers of hidden truths. The Iowa sails in memory, her turret a scar, reminding that some revenges, whether mechanical or malevolent, strike without warning, leaving echoes eternal.